Thank you, Katya. Dear honorable ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning from Athens. I would like to thank the organizers, the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the Consulate General of Greece in Sydney for organizing this web conference and offering me the opportunity to address so many distinguished members of the Greek diaspora and successful entrepreneurs. It is a privilege to exchange thoughts with all of you on how we have tackled the COVID-19 crisis and on the challenges ahead for the Greek economy. Allow me to personally thank Mr. Nicolaou and Ms. Kikiza for their hard work and their crucial contribution in preparing today's event. 1 year has already passed since the outbreak of the health crisis in Greece. A year in which both society and the economy have been severely tested. It is also a fact that no country in the world was prepared for the changes and upheavals caused by the COVID-19 outbreak. In Greece, the government has been dealing with the health crisis and its impact to the best of its ability, promptly, swiftly, and efficiently, as it has been recognized internationally. With a coherent, methodical, and dynamic plan, we have strengthened public health, supported households and employment, boosted business liquidity, and safeguarded social cohesion, with measures totaling 24 billion euros in 2020 and an additional 11.6 billion euros for 2021. These measures include fiscal interventions, deferrals, and liquidity injections. They are financed by the prudent and neat cash management while keeping the level of cash reserves at a satisfactory level. Particularly for the business community, recognizing the problems that have arisen in the proper functioning of the economy due to the necessary restrictions that have been taken to stop the spread of the pandemic, we have designed and implemented targeted tools and measures. Measures to enhance business liquidity, such as the refundable advance payment scheme, the funding instruments of the Guarantee Fund, the suspension of tax and insurance obligations, the suspension of security payments like checks and promissory notes, the formulation of a temporary state aid framework for businesses in the form of a subsidy for fixed costs. Moreover, interventions to reduce taxes, along with the recently enriched legal framework for providing incentives to support healthy entrepreneurship and attract investments and human capital in the country. Investments which, even in the midst of the pandemic, were strengthened with significant foreign investors like Microsoft, Pfizer, Cisco, Deloitte, Volkswagen, giving a vote of confidence in the economic policy implemented by the government and the prospects of the country. Moreover, we have a new legislative framework aiming at reforming, strengthening, and modernizing corporate governance of limited liability companies, as also the capital market. We have launched the GEFIA, the Bridge Program, for small and medium businesses. This program will provide a subsidy for most of the business loan installments for a period of 8 months in order to support businesses hit by the COVID-19 outbreak. The above-mentioned tools and measures prove that the government has substantially supported the business community. But has this support along with the support provided to households, been adequately effective in mitigating the impact of the pandemic? The answer is yes. And it is an answer given by the latest economic figures. First of all, the Greek economy contracted by 8.2% in 2020, year on year, which is around 2 percentage points better compared with the forecast. This makes the projection for a stronger recovery in 2021, around 4.8%, feasible. Second, the unemployment rate has remained broadly stable, despite the sizable economic contraction due to the effective labor protection measures. Third, the startups of enterprises in all economic sectors in 2020 amounted to 84,000 companies, according to Eurostat, recording a minor decrease of just 0.05% in comparison with 2019, while the closure of enterprises in all economic sectors in 2020 amounted to 37,000 companies, recording a decrease of 23% in comparison with 2019, despite adverse circumstances caused by the pandemic. Fourth, Greek banks, despite the less favorable market conditions, managed to accelerate the reduction of non-performing loans over the second half of 2020 and the first quarter of 2021. According to preliminary data, we had an impressive NPE reduction by 30% in 2020 year on year. And finally, the significant rise in private sector's bank deposits in 2020 by approximately 20 billion euros suggests that there are fuels for strong potential consumption in the future. All the above came as a result of a holistic, growth-friendly economic policy approach of the Greek government, an approach which includes not only support measures to help cushion the social and economic consequences of the pandemic, but also progressing well with structural reforms, despite the challenging circumstances in a number of areas, including private debt, state assets management, privatization projects, energy policy, education, operation and digitalization of the public sector. Indicatively, the new insolvency code, with several safeguards to filter strategic defaulters in order to tackle private debt, has been adopted. Hercules, the asset protection scheme, has already led to a significant increase of NPLs in Greek systematic banks. We are in the process of extending it for another 18-month period. The institutional framework for corporate governance has been modernized. The asset development plan has been boosted. Despite the adverse market conditions, significant progress has been made in the privatization process of Ellinikon and a series of regional ports and marinas. Concerning Ellinikos, the land partition of the project in a binding legal document will be discussed today in the Parliament. Plans to address long-standing weaknesses of certain state-owned enterprises have been put into action. A series of investment-friendly tax measures have been taken, such as the introduction of non-dom in the Greek tax system and its successful implementation and extension to incentivize high-income foreigners, retired citizens from abroad, as well as employees and self-employed, including digital nomads, to move to Greece. And finally, the ongoing digital transformation of the public sector, which will serve to further ease the administrative burden for households and enterprises. Consequently, we have made good use of time in order to speed up reforms, looking towards the medium-term needs and challenges of our country. In any case, we cannot be complacent. The health crisis is not over yet, and there is still great uncertainty all over the world concerning its evolution. Thus, we will not cease our efforts and we will continue to support the business environment operating methodically, efficiently, and transparently, while also working to address the remaining vulnerabilities to successfully tackle population movement and geopolitical turbulences and to ensure a solid base for recovery. Ladies and gentlemen, the coming months will be difficult. The return to normality will be gradual, and the post-coronavirus era will bring forth new challenges related to the structure of the economy, the transformation of labor market, and digital transition. Nevertheless, along with challenges, there are also opportunities that our country has to seize. The key for the country's recovery that will pave the way to a dynamic economic growth trajectory is the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, a plan that will contribute to the optimal utilization of European resources by the Next Generation EU instrument, a realistically ambitious, modern, and extroverted plan which will act as a catalyst for reorienting our economy to a new, innovative, competitive, and socially just productivity model. Our country's share of the Next Generation EU funds adds up to 32 billion euros. A significant amount of these funds consists of grants that will be directed to reforms and investments which correspond to the needs and special characteristics of the Greek economy. As you probably already know, Greece has been praised by the European institutions for having one of the most cohesive, detailed, and mature national recovery and resilience plans all over the European Union. In a few hours, I will present the main pillars of the plan to my European colleagues in today's ECOFIN meeting. On this occasion, I will share with you the main axes on which our plan is focusing for the funds utilization. These axes include investments and reforms, among others, to achieve efficient use of energy, to upgrade networks, to make sustainable use of resources, to achieve climate resilience, to digitalize public and private sector, to promote job creation and participation in the labor market, to improve accessibility and sustainability of healthcare, to increase access to effective and inclusive social policies, to enhance social cohesion, to make fiscal policy more growth-friendly, to improve tax administration and tax collection, to improve the efficiency of the justice system, to strengthen the financial sector and capital markets, to promote endogenous sources of growth like education, vocational education and training, research and innovation, to promote exports and to improve the business environment. By implementing the above strategy and by remaining dedicated to our reform trajectory, we will all be able, state, companies, and employees, to create the right conditions for Greece to enter a new growth path, a path that will lead to the systematic increase of household and business income, the creation of many good new jobs and the integration of our economy in the dynamic economies of Europe, ensuring a future of prosperity and sustainable, clever, and inclusive growth for next generations. Thank you so much, Paul and Katja.
Thank you very much, Minister.